For us car enthusiasts, the mere mention of some movies will instantly bring to mind the car or cars that starred in them. Equally, there are some cars that are intrinsically linked to a particular movie, such as their presence on screen or contribution to the story. Now, starring in a Hollywood blockbuster can have a dramatic effect on a car's desirability and value, with some of them now well out of reach of average car folk. I've picked out 12 iconic classic cars and the movies they starred in, and I'll tell you how much you'll have to find to get them on your driveway or in your garage. I'll start with the cheapest and work my way up to the near unattainable. Let me know in the comments which ones you'd like to have. The Volkswagen Beetle, officially the Type 1, is an enduring classic, conceived in the 1930s by Ferdinand Porsche and remaining in production until 2003. I bet that you're already thinking about a series of movies where a 1963 Beetle was not only a car that the main characters drove, but was a main character in itself as Herbie, introduced in the 1968 Disney film The Love Bug. Well over 21 million Beetles were built worldwide, so there are plenty around to choose from if you want to recreate Herbie, or just enjoy the sight and sound of a rear-engined air-cooled bug. It represents the cheapest way into a movie star car, with good examples ranging between £5,000 and £15,000. Next up, another car originally conceived by Ferdinand Porsche Sr. before he died, the Porsche 928. Intended as a replacement for the 911, the 928 was eventually put into production in 1977, aimed squarely at the North American market. Several years later, a 1979 car appears in the 1983 film Risky Business, with Tom Cruise in his first leading role, borrowing his father's car while his parents are away. Things don't end well for the 928, but it does contribute to some great scenes and the immortal line from Cruise: Porsche, there is no substitute. Despite its credentials and appeal, you can now pick up one of these 4.5-litre V8 powered Grand Tourers for very little money, with prices starting at around £14,000. Another coming-of-age comedy drama gives us our next iconic movie car, a 1966 Alfa Romeo Spyder, also known as a Duetto, in The Graduate from 1967, starring Dustin Hoffman. This Pininfarina-designed roadster had a 1600cc engine and a beautifully rounded tail, known as a boat tail or cuttlefish bone. The car is driven by Hoffman's character Benjamin and appears in multiple scenes, including the memorable climax where Benjamin races to a church to stop a wedding. Prices of the earlier Series 1 and Series 2 Spyders range from £20,000 up to around £50,000. In the next movie, Smokey and the Bandit from 1977, cars were front and centre in the story of running bootleg beer from Texas to Georgia. Burt Reynolds starred as the Bandit, and he drives a highly visible Pontiac Firebird TransAm to divert police attention from the truck carrying the Coors beer. Given that the film was directed by stuntman Hal Needham, it's unsurprising that most of the scenes feature fast-action highway chases and car stunts. 4 black and gold cars with the Screaming Chicken hood decal were given to production by Pontiac. All were actually 455 cubic inch 1976 cars fitted with a 1977 front end, giving them the rectangular headlamps. There aren't so many Firebirds for sale in the UK at any one time, but I managed to find a few priced between £25,000 and £35,000. Leaving Hollywood behind briefly, our next movie is a British classic, The Italian Job. There are many iconic classic cars to choose from in this film, but the runaway stars are the 3 Mark I Austin Mini Cooper S's, used to carry away the stolen gold from the centre of Turin. The red, white and blue Minis were perfectly cast to escape a gridlocked city by ducking down narrow alleyways and pathways, through shopping arcades, down steps, through sewers and across a river weir. Fitted with the 1275cc engine, 6 1967 cars were sold to the production at cost price and given future-dated G registrations to fit in with the release of the film. A further 25 Minis were bought second-hand, 10 of them also being Mini Coopers, and the rest were standard 848cc cars, modified to look like the star cars. All 16 Mini Coopers were destroyed or damaged beyond repair during filming, as well as 9 of the standard cars. The 6 remaining roadworthy Minis were left behind in Turin. No one knows what happened to them. To recreate your own Italian Job experience, a good Mark I Mini Cooper will cost you between £25,000 and £55,000. Returning stateside to California, and the sloping streets of San Francisco in particular, The next car is so synonymous with the movie that there's now a special edition of it named after the film. I am of course talking about the 1968 Steve McQueen film Bullitt and the Ford Mustang. Not notable for its plot or quality of acting, the movie is most remembered for its prolonged car chase, lasting almost 11 minutes, earning the film's editor an Academy Award. McQueen's Highland Green Ford Mustang GT Fastback is followed by a couple of hitmen in a black Dodge Charger. He soon turns the tables on them, and so begins the chase to the delectable sound of roaring V8s and screeching tyres. Almost as memorable for fans of the film is the green Volkswagen Beetle that appears numerous times in the street sequences. First-generation Mustang coupes are fairly easy to come by, but fastbacks can be 2 to 3 times more expensive. Expect to pay £40,000 to £80,000. We're just about halfway through my list of iconic movie cars, and I'm already out of popcorn. Keep watching as the cars start to ramp up in price. Can you guess what's coming up? I'll give you a clue. They were all styled by Italians. Unlike most of the movie cars featured, the next one wasn't a commercial success at the time. But from 1985, it had its time, again, and again, and again, in the Back to the Future trilogy. Of course, it is the Giorgetto Giugiaro-styled DeLorean DMC-12. The story of the car's development and subsequent demise of the company is as long and convoluted as the Back to the Future films, so I won't go into it now. But the films helped to keep the DeLorean in the public consciousness, and they are highly desired today, despite their shortcomings in performance. Amid the many modifications and additions, Doc Brown's time machine was still recognisable as a DeLorean, and I can confirm that they are capable of 88 miles per hour. If you could go back in time to before 2020, you could pick one of these up for around £30,000. Sadly, a DeLorean now will cost you between £60,000 and £75,000. Another Giugiaro design that took global cinema by storm 9 years earlier in 1977 was the Series 1 Lotus Esprit in The Spy Who Loved Me, Roger Moore's third outing as James Bond. Nicknamed Wet Nelly, the Esprit survived a chase with a Ford Taunus and an armed helicopter by diving into the sea off Sardinia and transforming into a submarine. 2 complete cars were supplied by Lotus, one used as a camera platform with the tailgate removed, along with 7 body shells that were adapted to show the different stages of amphibious transformation. Well known for its precise handling, the Esprit needed Lotus test driver Roger Becker to get it to perform tail slides for the camera, after the stunt driver declared it too stable. Whilst later Giugiaro Esprits can be picked up for around £30,000, a Series 1 will set you back between £75,000 and £100,000. From one 70s wedge to another, we take a bit of a jump in price to Marcello Gandini's poster car, the Lamborghini Countach. A black 1979 Countach LP400S with wings fitted front and rear set the tone of the Cannonball Run from the very first frame, with 2 great-looking chicks outrunning a police Pontiac Firebird. We were spoiled for choice of the iconic cars from this road race caper that came from the same director as Smokey and the Bandit, but the breathtaking opening shots of the Countach speeding along a Nevada highway made it a hit, and the idea was reprised in the sequel. It's hard to find an earlier Countach for sale in the classifieds, but you're looking at £500,000 to £800,000 for any of the later variants. Our next most expensive car also featured in the Cannonball Run, but was made famous much earlier in the 1964 Bond film Goldfinger, starring Sean Connery. The silver birch Aston Martin DB5 was James Bond's first gadget car, complete with machine guns, tyre shredders, oil slick, smoke screen, bulletproof shield and ejector seat. There were 2 cars loaned to Eon Productions by Aston Martin. The effects car, BMT-216A, was fitted with the gadgets, and the road car was to be used as a stand-in on driving shots. The gadget car was the development prototype DB5 and was almost identical to the road car, although it had side indicators on the front wings and an aerial by the driver's side mirror that weren't present on the other car. Very few people noticed. Goldfinger wasn't the first screen outing for BMT-216A. It was portrayed in its original colour of Dubonnet red in an episode of The Saint the previous year. This was a TV series starring Roger Moore, who never drove an Aston during his time as Bond, although he did drive this exact car much later in the Cannonball Run, when he spoofed his secret agent character. In 1997, this effects car was stolen from Boca Raton Airport in Florida. It hasn't been seen since. If someone finds it, it'll be worth many millions of pounds. The The DB5 has become so intrinsically linked with 007 that one has featured in 8 of the 25 official Bond films. A regular Aston Martin DB5, if there is such a thing, will cost much the same as a Countach, £500,000 to £800,000. For my penultimate movie car pick, we return to the Italian Job, and the opening scene when we hear the distant scream of a V12 echoing around the mountains. It's coming from an orange 1968 Lamborghini Miura. As the titles play out, we are treated to an accomplished drive of Gandini's seminal mid-engine supercar, underscored by Matt Monro singing On Days Like These. Sadly, the Miura comes to a sudden end in a tunnel on the blade of a bulldozer, but happily the mangled car pushed over the cliff was one that had already been wrecked. The Miura's presence in the film was only a shade over 4 minutes long, but like the Countach in the Cannonball Run, this Lamborghini being piloted up the San Bernardino Pass grabbed the audience's attention and gave them a flavour of what was to come. Most Miuras are listed as POA, price on application, but they typically sell for between £1.3 and £2 million. Finally, we get to the most expensive iconic movie car, the 1961 Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase California Spyder from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, released in 1986. Now, before any of you start commenting that the Ferrari wasn't real, I am reliably informed that a genuine car was used for all the extreme close-up shots, so I think we can allow it. But yes, as there were only 56 Cali Spyders made by Ferrari, 4 replicas were built for the movie by Modena Design and Development in California. They were based on a custom tubular frame and fitted with Ferrari-like period parts from the likes of MG and Jaguar, and powered by a 302 cubic inch Ford V8. Despite being a replica, one of these cars actually sold at auction several years back for $360,000. A real Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase California Spyder, if you can find one, will cost you a staggering £11 to £13 million. So where did your budget stop and your dreams start? I think for me I was out of pocket somewhere around halfway, but there's always car finance, of course. Which one of these cars was your favourite? Have I overlooked any other iconic movie cars? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more classic car content. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.